travel on my way as I go from day to day. Problems here I'll have to face. Oh Lord, I'll lean on you. I'll know that I will lean on you. I'll know that you will see me through. There is nothing you can do. Dear Lord, I'll lean on you. Through the valley dark and low, there before me you will go, till I reach my heavenly home. Dear Lord, I'll lean on you. I'll know that I will lean on you. I'll know that you will see me through. There is nothing you can do. Dear Lord, I'll lean on you. I'll know that I will lean on you. I'll know that you will see me through. There is nothing you can do. Dear Lord, I'll lean on you. Dear Lord, I'll lean on you. You know, one day I heard Jesus speak. He said, little child, come unto me, 'cause my yoke is easy and my burden's light. Just trust in me and I'll give you life. So I knelt down, that night to pray.
That night to pray.
You know my life was changed that day. 'Cause Jesus' blood now covers me. Well, I'm a brand new man and I've been set free. Since Jesus came and made me whole, I'm never alone, and this I know, that He'll go with me until the end. And when He returns, I'll live again. 'Cause I knelt down that night to pray.
That night to pray.
Oh, you know my life
my life
was changed that day.
was changed that day.
'Cause Jesus' blood now covers me. Well, I'm a brand new man and I've been set free. We read God's word, it tells us of His love and of that bright home in heaven above. So children, listen, please hear His voice and believe today and make him your choice. Won't you kneel down today and pray? You know your life will be changed today. 'Cause Jesus' blood will cover you. Will be a brand new man and be set free too.
No, I think she's
Be a brand new man now and be set
visiting.
free.
All right, good morning. Continuing our study of David in 2 Samuel, chapter number 11 and 12. Now, last week we seen David kingdom, his kingship was established. He had defeated many enemies. The Lord had blessed him, given him a name among the nations. He was well respected. A wonderful king. The people loved him. He loved God, but more importantly, folks, God loved him. Now, you know, just saying that simple term, I want you to know that it is wonderful. If you love God this morning, that's a wonderful thing. But the most important thing is that he loves you. And we're going to see in this lesson this morning, you know, the love that God has for David, even through all we've heard about David so far has been great things, great accomplishments, a man after God's own heart, a man that spiritually had put God first in his life. And here he is now, king. He can stand at the highest peak and look around, and everywhere his eyes could see, he was the king of it. God had given him, like I said, all the land. But even having said that, the enemies kept coming. And David now, well established as a king. David, we see, he starts to get a little bit relaxed. He starts getting a little bit comfortable with how everything's going. Everything's, God is with him. His enemies are being defeated, no troubles. Victory after victory. And God gives him, like I said, comfort and peace. And he gives him a lot of time maybe to sit back and relax. That all sounds good, don't it? That's what we all want. But sometimes that extra time and that sitting there relaxing all alone can get us in trouble. Now, let's begin with 2 Samuel chapter 11. Very familiar story. And it said, and it came to pass after the year was expired. Now, right off the bat, after the year was expired, they had the nation of Ammon and Syria had come against David and Israel, and David and Israel, or King David, Israel defeated them soundly, drove them back, and David, it says, all the treasures that he got off of them, the horses and all this stuff, and all these things. Well, a year after that, in chapter 10, that at the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all of Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. Now, unlike today's time, our commander-in-chief, they're not leading the wars. They're not out there in the middle of the battlefield. But in this day, the king was always at the head, always there at the directing the soldiers. The king was always on the battlefield or there at the site. And it says here in the spring, this was a time when the kings go forth to war. In the springtime, after winter, this is when the armies, the soldiers went out to war, and David had always been with them. The king should have always been with them, but now he's saying, well, I can only think that he's saying to himself, well, the Ammon and Syria is rising up against again. We've had no trouble with them before. They really don't need me. I've done a lot, and I'm really I need to just stay home and relax. I got good men. I got Joab, the general of my army. He and my soldiers can take care of this. I fully trust him. And David, and when the Bible says when it's time for king to go to battle, that David, instead of him going, he sent his general Joab and his army, and David stayed there at the palace. And it came to pass in the evening tide that David arose off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent, I was wondering how come I couldn't see very good. Excuse me. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. Now, like I said, instead of leading his troops in the battle, David sends them under the leadership of Joab. And here David is back at the palace. He'd just taken, no doubt, his afternoon nap. He gets up in the evening and he goes up to the rooftop. The palace and most of the homes were designed where they could go up onto the rooftop. They were flat roofs, and there they had the patio, and there they could relax in the evening breeze. And this was where David went to, no doubt, relax in the cool breeze of the evening. And as he's up there looking, like I said, walking around that palace, no doubt he's seeing, beholding everything, and everything he has control over everything his eyes is laid upon. He's got control of everything but his lust. Now look, what does he see? Old Satan. See, that's what I'm saying. Old Satan, he knows, Satan's got a good timing. He hits us. He'll get you at your weakest moment. He'll use the thing that you're the least good at denying yourself. He knows what you like. He knows what the flesh likes. He knows what to put in front of you. And as David is up there looking around, his eyes are fixed on a woman bathing. His eyes are fixed upon her. Instead of looking away, his eyes continue to feast on her. Satan's bait was working very well. And he looked at her until his lust drove him to send and inquire about her. Now, here we are, David, a man after God's own heart, a man that so far had denied his life of a lot of comforts in service for God. So what sets up a man of David's, his spiritual caliber was pretty good. What sets such a man as David up for such a fall? Did this all happen at once right there on the rooftop, or do you think maybe David started getting a little bit too comfortable before this time? As I said, David, there were three things. There were three things that God prohibited the kings of Israel, and they're in Deuteronomy verses 17 through the three things. And one of those was, it strictly forbade the practice of multiple wives. Well, guess what? David already messed that up. David already had a bunch of wives. Okay? David already had a bunch of wives. Now, secondly, God, through the laws, he forbade the hoarding of treasures. When they overcame an enemy, all the spoils of war, they were not to keep them back in the treasure. They were either given to the Lord as a sacrifice, or into the giving of in the temple, or whatever they were given, or they were to be given to the poor, or whatever. Well, David had begun to hoard, because we see in the chapters before, talks about all the horses, all the chariots that he took from the enemy, and he had all these things. He began to hoard these treasures. Now, and also, God forbade the buildup of armaments, meaning the military weapons. God didn't want them to be built up so much that they counted on their weapons more than they counted on God. And all three of these things, why did God forbid these things? Because all of them began to turn their hearts away from God and start to make them feel that thing that makes the flesh feel better, that self-indulgence. Now, David, like I said, he had a large harem. A lot of wives, a lot of concubines. And that practice of a large harem caused him, he's thinking, man, I got all these, and like I said, listen to me. David, when his eyes are looking and everything, he's in control of everything. He knows as king, I can have whatever I want. He looks down and sees this beautiful woman, and he says, I want her. Now, he does do something that is to be commended. David looked at her and he wanted her, so he sent people to inquire of her, which meant he to find out, no doubt, who she was. Was she married? Was she not married? Was blah blah? What did she do? So he got back a report, said that those that he sent to inquire of her, and they told her, yeah, she is this one's daughter. She's married. She is married to Uriah the Hittite. Well, David, all his stuff, it should have stopped right then and there when he found out she was married. But David, when the inquiry was made, she found out that she was the wife of Uriah the Hittite. David's mind goes, oh, she's off limits. I can't, that's another man's wife. Adultery, sin before God. Listen, but David, no, he didn't think that. David, as soon as he found out that she was married to Uriah the Hittite, he knew that Uriah the Hittite was gone away in battle a long way away. He wasn't going to be home for a long time. Therefore, I can do this and nobody's ever going to find out about it. And he sent for the woman and he laid with her. Now, there's all kinds of things in this story that leaves, and like I said, I don't know how innocent Bathsheba was in all this. I mean, if David could so plainly see her from the roof of his palace taking a bath, then I would think she would know that too, right? That she wasn't really, well, I mean, yeah, well, all I'm saying is when she's outside taking a bath, she knew that some other eyes could be upon her, right? You'd think. Yes, maybe. I don't, yeah. But, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying, maybe not. I'm just saying that I'm thinking in my mind, she's not in a private place taking a bath. Now, David inquires her. He takes her. She goes. He lays with her. That pleasure for a moment is gone. He sends her back to the house, and all is well and good. Life, yes, sir. And the one that knew about it is the only one that mattered. But see, David, like us, he thinks like I said, this Uriah, her husband, man, he's miles away. He ain't gonna be back for months. I don't have to worry about anything. I got it. My secret. I'm good. Life appeared. Days went by. It appears normal. And then he gets the news. The first clue that this sin of adultery, the first clue that something about it was going to get unraveled. Bathsheba sent word to him that she was with child. She was pregnant with his child. Uh-oh. And look what David, in verse 6, and David sent to Joab, the general of his army, saying, send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David, and when Uriah was coming to David, David demanded of him how Joab did and how the people did and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his Lord, and went not down to his house. And verse 10, and when they told David, saying, Uriah went not down to his house, David said to Uriah, camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down into thine house? And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my own house to eat and to drink and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and as thou soul livest, I will not do this thing. Now you can see by Uriah's statement here, David, how loyal, loyal and great man of war and David's servant Uriah is. So plan A, David calls Joab. He finds out, David calls the general and he says, hey, I need to see Uriah, send him back to the palace. I need to talk to him. And Uriah comes back, and no doubt he's thinking, wonder why the king wants to talk to me. Wonder why he wants to talk. And David, he comes, and David says, hey, Uriah, how's the war going? How's the general doing? How's the soldiers doing? Everything all right? Everything doing all right? And, yeah, everything's good. And David says, after he gave him, how the war was going, all this, David says, Uriah, you need a break. You're back here. That's good news. I'm glad you can go back now to war here in the morning. But tonight, I want you to go back down to your house, wash your feet, meaning relax and enjoy your night, and of course, David is hoping that he'll go and be with his wife that he hadn't seen for many, many months. And then the king finds out in the morning that instead of going down into his wife, he goes and he sleeps with the servants at the king's palace in front of the king's door. David, the servants tell him he didn't go nowhere. He stayed right here with us. So David says, how come? He said, you've come so long. He said, you've come from such a journey. You've been away for so long. Why didn't you go down to your house and be with your wife and relax and do like that? He said, how could I do that? Uriah says, how could I do that when my brother soldiers, when the ark of God, when all of Israel and Judah and all the soldiers and my general are all out there sleeping in tents, all out there in the middle of war? Who am I that I'm going to come back here and enjoy myself? I can't do that. That wouldn't be right. He said, I will not do this thing. So plan A fails, so David goes to plan B. David said to Uriah, all right, tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow, and when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his Lord, but he went not down to his house. So plan A failed. So plan B, what's David's plan B? Well, I'm going to get him that day. I'm going to wine him and dine him. I'm going to get him drunk. And then when I get him drunk, what happens when you get drunk? You guys never been drunk, I'm sure. You're all sitting in women, and I said none of you have ever been drunk. But you know, and I've heard this because I don't know, but I heard this that your inhibitions. Sherry, you know anything about it? No, I didn't think so. Your inhibitions go away, meaning that you'll do things when you're drunk that you never would do sober. Is that right, Bo, or not? So David gets him drunk, hoping that, all this loyalty and all this stuff's going to disappear, all his inhibitions. He's going to go down and see his wife. However, once again, David miscalculates that devotion of this seasoned warrior, and to his surprise, to his about chagrin, Uriah spent the night once again, with the palace guard at the king's house. Uriah was determined not to enjoy the comforts of his own home or the intimacy of his own wife, still while the ark of God and his soldiers were living in tents and out there fighting. Now, that dedication, that loyalty that Uriah had should have woke old David up as commander-in-chief, but it didn't. Plan A failed. Plan B fails. Verse 14. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in that letter saying, set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. And it came to pass when Joab observed the city that he assigned Uriah unto the place where he knew the valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people of the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Now, I can read all the way to verse 27 and tell you this, but we're going to just get through this here. David began to panic. And in cold-blooded, listen to me, planned, first-degree murder, planned, well executed, no mistake in what he wanted to do. And by his own hand, and David knew the loyalty of Uriah. He knew he was so loyal. That letter he gave Uriah of his own to give to Joab, that his death sentence, he knew he wouldn't open it. And he took this, he gave it, and David's orders was to take Uriah and put him at the hottest spot, put him on the front line, put him not only on the front line, but put him against the enemy's most valiant warriors, and whenever they and make them attack the wall right there, and then whenever they start shooting, shooting those arrows, whenever they start coming out the wall, I want you to, Joab, to retreat, pull your men back, and when the last one's getting out of the way, or the first one's going to die. And that happened. Uriah, Joab sends word that Uriah is dead. But listen to me, and we never talk about this. We never talk about this. But not only was Uriah killed, but you read in here that there were a whole lot of other soldiers that were innocently killed on just to carry out David's plan. Not only Uriah, but a whole lot of other innocent men were killed over this plan. You better believe it. It's a terrible story. Yes, Steve, and as you mentioned it, this is a terrible story about a man that's after God's own heart. About a man. But see, people want to know, how do you know this Bible's true? Well, hey, God didn't just put all the good things in. He put out this terrible act right here. If this Bible wasn't true, I don't think it would have been put in there. Would it? He included the bad things just like he did the good. No, sir. You're right about that. Now, this heinous thing, and we look at it and we think, oh my goodness, this guy, how could this went so far? But folks, when we try to hide that sin, by the way, the Bible says, listen to me, behold, your sin's going to find you out. And matter of fact, we say that, Luke, I got by with it. Ain't nothing happened to me yet. Now this seems like terrible sin. And some sins, some sins, but the bottom line, are more serious than others. You say, wait a minute, Dwayne, sin. And it is. And God, listen to me, God, any sin is grievous in God's sight. But let me tell you something. You know why adultery is one of the worst ones? Is because it's involving other people. It involves, and its effect is on other people, as a lot of our sins are, by the way. And if there is a worse sin than the seventh commandment, thou shalt not commit, then and by the way, that's why sin worked. Once that adultery was done, it took something even worse than that to try to hide it. Murder, cold-blooded murder. The plan, it wasn't not like I said, there wasn't any, and we hope he's going to get killed and put him there, and we hope maybe somebody should. No, it was planned down to David. King David planned Uriah's death, and he might as well killed him himself. He purposely put him in the place where he would be killed. In the battle. And so he was. And so he was. And no doubt when David got the word, he thought, I got by this time. The secret is not, my secret affair, my adultery has been covered up. I'm done. And as a guy on a show I watch sometimes on Saturday morning college football, a man named Lee Corso says, not so fast. That wasn't the end of David's problems at all. It was just the beginning of his problems. Not only, folks, and Steve was talking about it there earlier, this sin that David committed and the sins that we have committed in our lives. You know what? Thank God, my sins are forgiven. My sins are forgiven. Don't need that. My sins are forgiven, but the consequences of my sin are still there. Did you hear what I said? Your sins are under the sin, but the effect of that sin that it had on other people, it's going to come back. The consequence of that sin doesn't go away. David, after that, we know the story. David is clear. David is forgiven of his sin, but that sin affected his family from that time until he died. This sin right here affected his whole family. His whole family, it wasn't nothing but blood, violence, sex, lies. Just what he committed was a part of his life, the rest of his life. He lived it through his children. But now, so when the word, and also when David heard the words that Uriah was dead, you don't see anything here where he was, oh man, what have I done? What have I done? He didn't show any kind of regret. He didn't show any kind of grief. He didn't show anything. Even though Uriah, a most loyal servant of his, was dead, along with all the other ones that he had killed, passed it off as the unfortunate outcome of war. So Bathsheba, when she learns of her husband's death, Uriah, she mourns for him. Do you think Bathsheba was aware of anything David was doing? Does anybody think that Bathsheba might have knew what David was doing? You think she was? Okay, see, some say no, some say yes. I don't know. All she knew her husband was in. She knew her husband was home. And no doubt, she's probably sitting there at the house wondering, how come he hasn't come see me? But when she learns, right. But this man wouldn't do that. Why his brother soldiers and why his general were out there fighting and living in tents, he wasn't going to do that. That's how low he was. And here she is wondering how come he's not coming. But then she finds out that after all this, she finds out her husband, she mourns her husband's death. And I thought to myself, wonder if she was aware of any way of what was going on. Maybe not. But maybe so. And that's, well, the Bible said he took her. Matter of fact, let's read that because when I read that, I thought, somebody find that real quick. Okay. Now, and David sent messengers and took her, and she came in unto him, and he lay with her. Now, like I said, and I'm not at all, like I said, there's several things. I'm not putting any kind of blame on Bathsheba, but there's certain things that, kind of red flag in my mind. She's taking a bath out naked where other people can see her. Now, and as soon as her time of mourning was over, David brings her into his house as one of his wives. And up until now, all we got is the story. All we got is the historical account of what happened, but I want you to look at verse 27. And when the morning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife and bare him a son. But look at this last line. Every bit so far it's all been historical, but then he starts putting a little bit of editorial. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. Now, can temptation be avoided? Huh? Temptation can be avoided. We can avoid any kind of temptation. You cannot avoid the temptation. Believe me. Temptation cannot be avoided, but by the grace of God and the Holy Spirit of God that lives within us, we can resist it. Any temptation. There's no temptation that man will get that God is not able to provide you a way out. Now, huh? Oh, exactly. Now, that yielding to temptation is optional. Sin is a choice. David, what did David do? David tarried back at the palace. David tarried back at the palace. Okay, then he saw, this I'm giving you an instance where it could have been stopped. He tarried. He saw, could have looked away, could have got it out of mind. He inquired when he found out she was married, had another chance. Okay, that's another red flag. He took and he laid. These were all deliberate actions, and they were all done, I guarantee you, after the Spirit of God that was in him was going, don't do it, don't do it, stop now, don't do it, it's time. But he did it anyway. Huh? He also faced death because adultery was punishable by death. Exactly. Now, temptations cannot be avoided. But I heard this guy, Martin Luther, matter of fact. Temptations cannot be avoided. Just like we cannot prevent the birds from flying over our heads, there is no need that we should let them nest in our hair. Now, here we go, real quick. The Lord was displeased. So the Lord what? And the Lord sent Nathan unto David and said, and he came unto him and said unto them, there were two men in one city, the one rich, the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little ewe lamb, which he brought, and he nourished up, and it grew up together with him, with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler to this rich man, and he spared to take one of his own flock, to dress, to clean, to kill for the wayfaring man that was coming to him. But he took the poor man's lamb, one and only lamb, the one he raised up as his own daughter, what it says, he took his lamb and he killed it, and he gave it to that stranger. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said unto Nathan, as the Lord lives, the man that has done this thing will surely die. Nathan said, after he told his story, Nathan said to David, you're the man. Thou art the man. Now, what happened? Nathan comes, as God does. David having no idea. Nathan comes and tells him the story of this rich man that has thousands of lambs. He has all kinds of livestock. He's rich. He's got everything. And a stranger comes to his house, and he's going to prepare a meal for him. And there's a poor man that's living right beside him that has absolutely nothing but one little ewe lamb that he's raised up from a baby, and it's absolutely, it eats at his table, he feeds it, he takes care of it, gives it his own food. It's like his daughter. This lamb is like his daughter to him. It's the only one he got. What's the man do? He takes and he forgets about the thousands he's got, and he goes and he takes this poor man's one little ewe lamb, takes it, kills it, prepares it for this stranger. And I'm going to tell you something, that story makes you mad just to think about it. And old David wasn't no different. David got emotionally involved. He said, oh gosh, let me get my hand. Right now, as the Lord lives, I'm killing this dude. This guy don't have no right. As the Lord liveth, this guy that done this thing, this evil, he's going to die. And Nathan says, well, I agree with you. You're the rich man, David.